Thank you
Yeah.
very much for taking the time to do this one with me. This
Oh,
is
no, no, not at all,
great.
Karen.
It's
I
great.
really appreciate it. No, you're
Yeah.
really, really, you're the first one, and I just go with my heart, and I don't. I know Steve was saying, there's some criteria for choosing the right host, and I'm sorry, but I just go with energy. It's, I go with the heart, and I know it's always the right fit. So even if, so I just trust that. That's all. The connection is most important, and I felt the connection very strongly. I'll go with that. I'm happy enough. Whether you choose to even upload this to your own podcast, I leave it to you. It's the absolute freedom of connection. I have nothing to want from you. I just want you to be happy as well. So
Well,
that's all it
it
is.
works both ways. So I thank you. I thank you very much. That's awesome. My heart too. Okay. Well, um, how about we get started?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. So deep breath, get grounded, take a little drink. And I will, the podcast is audio only, but I'll put the video up on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Okay.
And let me know if you want me to speak up louder at any point in
Okay.
time. Fine, it's fine.
Well, you're sounding good. You're sounding
Okay,
good. So,
great.
yeah. Okay. So, hey, welcome back. Welcome to the Awesome Life podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host, and I'm here today with Huey Lin. As I do with all of my guests, Huey and I had a virtual coffee before I invited her to join us. She has an amazing story that actually transformed a lot of the way she is and thinks and feels. She has a huge heart. So I knew that she would be the perfect guest for our listeners. Huey will never forget the day when at age 32, she finally reconciled her emotional brokenness that triggered off in childhood. And from this point on, her whole life turned around. She had a strange rheumatism that's actually started in her teens, and it spontaneously disappeared. Her relationships with her family, friends, and workplace got increasingly harmonious. And isn't that what we want? More awesomeness. She found a new home in one of the most expensive cities in the world, Toronto, Canada, and life actually became enjoyable even in the mundane moments. So, welcome. She is leading an awesome life. And so, Huey,
Hi.
tell us more about
Hey, Karen.
how this all occurs. Tell us more of your story. My God.
Wow, Karen. Thank you in the first place for having me here. It's wonderful to be with you and to be with your awesome audience.
They are awesome.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate that we have this common ground in us that life can be awesome and can be enjoyable. And so I guess my story really is about how I transformed my life um, from being really unhappy to being fulfilled by really transforming my emotions, kind of like one at a time. So it's not really about, the doing part of things. Like you set your goals. For example, I want to have a promotion. I want to have a 50% increase in my salary, which I mean I did, but I do set goals, right? But there's a difference between setting goals just out of habitual thinking, out of the pressure of thinking that this is what you must do in order to be deemed good by society, versus coming back to oneself and really feeling for yourself what will work, what will you truly be at peace with. I think that's the real starting point. And I discovered that the starting point is really important when I was going through a really tough phase in my life. So, I mean, I had gone through success via, I mean, external material success via setting goals and doing the right things. And I wasn't exactly happy, and I actually got more depressed. Versus my turnaround, the real transformation of starting from depression, which is like a ground zero, but being materially comfortable, but nobody would have guessed that, to from the depression state, ground zero, to being truly at peace with where I am, with who I am every single day. I think that is a real, for me, I know if I pass away today, I'm sorry, I'll be really happy.
Yeah,
So
you have no regrets.
no regrets, and always not looking at life from a point of will I regret this, but from a point of will this bring me joy? Will this bring me more happiness, more peace in my heart? And is this peace something that that is mine, or is this a kind of peace that I think other people will have? So it's a very different point of view when we think truly for ourselves. Is this really for my heart? Does my heart say yes to me for this that I want? Versus, is it just my mind? Is it the part of me that wants to look successful in other people's eyes so that I can look elevated in the society? I mean, we have to learn to differentiate that part of us, those two parts of us, in order to be truly, 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 deeply happy, forever happy. The feeling of being forever happy in the present moment.
Yeah, yeah. And you really did that. You went through, you did everything that we're supposed to do. Go
Yeah.
to school, you went to some amazing universities, you have an amazing background. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so in terms of my educational background and where I grew up, so I was born in Singapore, and and to be very honest, I my childhood wasn't the kind that I thought I was very blessed with, like compared with my peers. So I was always comparing, doing that comparisonitis when starting from childhood.
For sure,
But
that comparisonitis, don't we? We're taught that.
we're taught that, right, as a means
And
of,
that's the worst thing we
yeah.
can do.
Yeah, exactly. So I went through all of that, and so I did go to good schools in Singapore, and then my father actually presented me with this opportunity when I was about 14 years old, and so he said, Huey, how about, would you like to go overseas to study for your university? I jumped at it right away. I was so happy. But what I didn't tell him was, yes, you know why? Because I want to escape from
Get away
Singapore.
from
I
home.
want to get away from home. I never told him that, and I hope he doesn't ever hear this podcast. So that, I'm sorry if you do, but but I love you, and I love Mom, and I love everybody in the family. And so the thing is, when as a child, and I couldn't see past what my parents were thinking, what they wanted as how they were protecting me. And so the childhood that I grew up, the kind of conditions I grew up, it was not bad at all. It's just that I just had very few toys. And I think my mom they were both very strict. And I think because of my background, ethnically Chinese background, the way to grow a kid into a good human being was to not give them too much.
Don't
And
spoil them. Never
don't spoil
spoil your
them.
children.
Yeah, don't spoil them. Don't give them too much encouragement. Don't let it get into their heads. And so I grew up thinking that feeling good about myself was a really bad thing. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I was so happy jumping at the opportunity to go to the States. So I eventually I graduated from Williams College in Massachusetts, and
At 14 years old, you went to Williams College in
at,
Massachusetts?
at 16 years old, I went to another college, before I transferred over to Williams.
Oh, I see.
So yeah. So I was actually starting off in a philanthropic school for women, a liberal arts college called Cody College in Missouri. And yeah, and I love it. I mean, it's very dear to my heart. And then I transferred to what was formerly an all-male school, but it became co-ed. So anyway, yeah, it was women's college. So,
Wow.
and after that, I went back to Singapore, and I thought, well, what am I doing here? I think I want to escape again. So I used the excuse of wanting to do a master's to go to Australia. I mean, I didn't know consciously then that that was really my excuse, right? But looking back, that was really my excuse. So I didn't tell my father that, of course, that I was going to escape again, because all this is very subconscious. So,
And sometimes
so
we're
yeah,
not even aware, are we, of what's going on in our subconscious. We're just following
isn't that
what it's telling us without even
isn't
knowing.
that true? Isn't that so true? Because at that time, going overseas to the US, Australia, to the UK to study was like, you know, deemed a very good thing in Asia. So, you know, so yeah, I took it as my good reason, right? And then after my education in Australia, having my master's in biotechnology, actually I had the opportunity to, I was thinking, should I stay on in Australia? I love Australia. I love Sydney. I know it will be easy for me to get a job and to get my get a permanent residentship there. But I had to face myself. I couldn't ignore this nagging feeling that I was really running away. You know, it was surfacing from my subconscious to my conscious level. And so I couldn't run away from my own truth anymore. I couldn't run away from the fact that I knew what I was running away from, my own fear of going back to to face my own childhood so-called unhappiness. So yeah, the fact is that because my parents had different ways of thinking, and so when they talked about it, it wasn't just a conversation. So it was usually a very charged
Yeah.
way of talking.
Now, a lot of
So
people would deal with that situation with compensate with drugs or alcohol, you know, some sort of tranquilizer. I'm seeing my parents and it's going to be charged. So I'm going to take my Lexapro or whatever Valium, you know, to calm down. But you didn't do that, did you?
I didn't, yeah, I felt very strongly, even though I went to a psychiatrist eventually, and he did say that I was clinically depressed. And it was so funny because at that time I was working for GlaxoSmithKline, and they were working and they were producing one of the top antidepressants. so and so I went to the psychiatrist, and he pulled out this brochure. He said, "Look, have you seen this brochure?" I said, well, I do know that it exists, but I don't work in that department. I work for another product. And the reason why I chose to work with the vaccines department was because I believe more in prevention than in cure. I mean, I know I believe in both, but I do feel I believe in both, but it's more important to prevent a disease than to have it happen and then find ways to treat it. It's so much more of a hassle. So I've always been at that time, I was very into prevention of disease through vaccines, through what I knew through my education.
Yeah.
So that was me then. So when I met with this very nice, warm-hearted psychiatrist, I mean, I love him. I really do. He was so understanding. And then I asked him, how long is it going to take for me to get better? He says, it all depends. He was very honest with me. He didn't say, oh, take this drug and you'll be better in three months. No, he just told me, it all depends. And then he says, you take this drug and then you see what happens. And it depends on what you do. And and while I appreciated that honest conversation, there was a part of me that just couldn't ignore the knowing inside that there must be another way. So I just said, so I said, okay, let me think about it. And then I just went about my own way after that. And I found some ways of of treating myself without any medication.
That is fantastic. So, what ways do you have? Any tips for how people can feel better and really look at their life with a different set of eyes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is what we're all here for, aren't we? This
Yeah,
is the work that we give, we offer based on our own experience. So, again, I'm very happy to be on your podcast here
we're
to
so
share and to listen.
so glad you're here.
Yeah, couldn't be more blessed. And yeah, so there was after so even though I had said I'll go about my own way, I think the real starting point for me wasn't quite about the method so much as the determination that um, I'm going to take responsibility for my own self, for my own emotions, for
So
my
you took
everything.
you took responsibility. You
Yes,
didn't take
then
blame, you took responsibility.
yes, for the crap, the absolute crap that I was feeling. It felt crap to be accepting that I created crap. I'm sorry to say that. You know, I don't swear, so I hope these are not strong words. But yeah, it was really disturbing for me to realize that during one moment that in order for me to feel better, I to feel better for good and not just temporarily better, and not just see a movie and be better for 1 minute. And was to really realize that it was me who had to take responsibility for my own thoughts, my own behavior, my own emotions. So that's really the key. Everything else will follow. All the other methods that I share or that I hear that I think other people share that work for them. I think what works is the intention, like you say. You know, intention is everything. So the
Mm,
moment we really intend to help ourselves and not say, okay, I'm only going to get better if somebody in so and so behaves better. I'm only going to get better. I'm only going to feel more peaceful if the situation conforms to what I think is more ideal for me.
yeah.
So,
When you take responsibility, you're able to say, okay, I am the one that can make the change.
isn't that
I am
true?
the
Isn't
one
that so true?
that, and when you change inside, the world changes around you.
Exactly. Because the
And
two, yes.
it's usually, a lot of people don't change inside because they're afraid of what might happen around them. But usually what happens is life just gets better.
It's absolutely, Karen. Isn't it true?
It is so cool, isn't it? I
Isn't
love
it? It
that.
is that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
what sorts of
absolutely.
things, but it's awfully hard. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, have taken um, responsibility, but it's actually blame. I've
Mm,
taken the blame. And I started doing that when I was a little kid. And I said, well, I'll take responsibility, but I took responsibility for everybody.
right. That's also that's a bit it's related. Yeah, it's definitely related. But but it's also emotionally a little bit how to say it? They're two separate things because yes, we have responsibilities of life, like, and we also take responsibility. We may feel bad for somebody when something happens to them. We want them to be happy. Um, that kind of responsibility, like we feel for, especially for family members, or that we feel responsible for how things are just panning out for someone else because we felt we were contributing to their happiness. And to that, I think we also, I will come back to the same point of taking responsibility for how you feel when things don't go well for your own family member whom you thought you whom you feel you have responsibility for. It's always, it's a very hard practice. I have to say it's very hard, but it's very rewarding because we then shift from, we're not taking blame for the times when we're not taking credit or blame when something goes right or wrong. But the point is that when we take responsibility for our own emotions, our own actions, whatever we do is always going to be in the highest interest of yourself and everybody. So we're always putting our so-called best foot forward, and we're being honest with ourselves. Can we do it or can we not? If somebody says, "Can you come over to help me?" Maybe, instead of always saying yes, because we're nice people, we like to help people whenever we can. We like to oblige. We always like to go out of our way to help somebody, right? But when we take responsibility for our own emotions, I think we become more aware. The awareness grows about. So if I take responsibility for how I feel, maybe at this moment I can't really help. Susan now because I have this other commitment to look into right now. So instead of we might want to say no, but we may also want to really do it. So instead of saying no, we may then think, what is another idea? Say, oh, Susan, I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you right this moment, but maybe I can do it at some other time. And maybe I can't give the whole day, but I can give you 1 hour to get it started, or I can think of somebody else. So, some other alternatives will come. You can always say, when we take responsibility, we're also giving ourselves a bit of pause. We will learn to give ourselves pause when needed and say, can I come back to you? It was very hard for me. It was very difficult for me to say no, for me to take pause before I had learned to take full responsibility. So
that is a great tip, that to take a pause, to take a breath and not automatically say yes or no, but maybe. Or just take a pause and take a deep breath, allow yourself, and think of what your intention is by giving them the answer that you give them.
Perfect. Yes, I'm so with you there. I'm so with you then.
That pause allows that, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right. I know my normal operandi is to say, yes, I want to help you because I'm a good person and I'm from my heart and I care about you and I want to help because that's what women in general like to do.
Yes.
But then it gets to the point where you get there and you say, dang, I had so many other things. I had other plans. Why did I do this? And then it becomes almost a resentment and you start beating yourself up for saying yes when you should have said no or maybe. So that's a great tip.
Exactly.
Is taking pause.
And I think we all know this. Yeah, taking pause. I'm also taking pause right now. Yeah. I guess the thing is we do know all these things about taking pause. It's the remembrance to do so, the conscious reminder to do so. And so it is something that we, in the initial phase of any transformation, there is a bit of like pushback from our old habits. Expect a bit of pushback, but your intention is what's going to really lead us forward, isn't it? And our intention for wanting to be more expanded, to be more, as you said, awesome, to enjoy our lives. It's gonna keep us forward. So keep that intention for sure.
Yeah.
Of wanting to feel lighter, wanting to be more at peace. Always keep that.
So
and
know
then
your
it will bring
intention.
us the reminders. Yeah. And then that will always help us to remember to pause and to apply all these useful, great tools that are out here for you to use.
Do you have any other tips that you might be able to share for overcoming that automatic yes, or just feeling better? What other things did you do to finally recognize?
So yeah, that's a great question. There were many things, but so I was just sharing the crux of what's it's so the method is one thing, but the intention is very important. This is the root. It builds the foundation of whatever method you're going to use. It's going to bring the method into a new level of it working for you. Because if your intention is just, for example, some people use the gift of the gab to say, per se, right, to manipulate others. Some people use it to express themselves so authentically that it helps other people to sit up and listen and change. So it depends on how you use your voice, and it depends on how you use your gifts. So become very, I guess some of the tips that I can share, there's so many. But the main thing is be very intentional about how you're going about your journey. Why you're going about your journey. Is it, are you starting your journey because you feel, yes, you might feel like you're lacking in something. Then in that case, when you choose a method, become very aware whether when you choose a method to use to transform your life, is it coming from a space of lack, or is it coming from a space of wholeness? So become very aware, become very honest with yourself. For
Oh,
example,
that's powerful.
if somebody says, for example, if you hear, oh, we can become abundant by repeating these affirmations. For example, it is my right to be wealthy. Okay, so for example, take this affirmation. This affirmation is actually neutral, but whether it works for any particular person or not depends on what they feel about the topic in the first place. So, for example, if they feel wealth wealth is only about money, and for example, if the affirmation is not only about wealth but about money comes to me easily, for some people, it can really shoot themselves in the foot. Because if all their lives they've had this opposite thinking that money doesn't come to me easily, I have to work for it, then even if they find a $50 note on the floor, they're not going to pick it up.
Good
Or
point.
they may not see it.
Because it wasn't hard. You
It
have to
wasn't
work
hard. Yeah,
hard.
exactly.
You have to work for it, yes, but you have to work hard.
Exactly. So in their minds, they're not going to, even if they did see it, they won't pick it up because they don't feel deserving of it.
Or they might
So,
pick it up and give it right away to someone.
right, exactly. So, it's not going to stay with them. So we have to know where we stand on any given topic before we change. So for the topic of say money, for example, or wealth, then if we want to practice the affirmation of money comes to me easily, feel for ourselves first. Is that true? Is that something that can be true? It's not only about is it true, but is it something that I can feel comfortable saying? If I say it and it just doesn't jive, it just doesn't feel right, then don't say it. Don't use this method.
You could say it 100 gazillion times, and it isn't going to make a bit of difference.
Yeah, and in fact, it may actually be counterproductive. And
Counterproductive.
then you may give up altogether and say affirmations are no use. But it's not true. It depends on what you're saying to yourself and how comfortable you're saying that. Is there another program running inside of us, underlying, like, is there a self-sabotaging program that says, okay, I'm going to try out this affirmation. Money comes easily to me. But behind that, you're going to be like, is there some part of us that's saying, yeah, right. Like, okay, prove it to me. I'm going to try, I'm going to test this out. It has never been true for me, but okay, prove it to me. You know,
Yeah.
if you're going to be challenging it in this way, and you're just if it's just going to be like a form of sarcasm, don't even bother. It's not going to work for you. You might actually fall flat on your face. Sorry to say that, but
Well,
but
I wonder if you can rephrase it
yeah,
so
isn't
it
it?
can work for you. So, you know, money comes to me easily. No, it doesn't. I hear that. If it came to me easily, I'd be sitting here rolling in money, right?
Right,
So listen to that, and the affirmation is never going to work.
right.
But if you can rephrase it a little bit of to make it true for you, is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Be
Make it
authentic about it.
for you. So
Yes.
maybe something like, maybe money hasn't come to me easily in the past, but the past is the past. And now I'm moving towards making it come to me easily.
Yes. Something. If that is something that sits well with you,
Yeah.
yes, that's it. That's it. So become very aware of every time you want to try a new tool. Just be aware. Does it feel good for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, we can always find ways to tweak it. If not, find another tool. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So pause before answering. And that can be
beautiful.
true for any question at all, right? Not
Isn't
just
it
yes or
true?
no questions.
It's so true. It's beautiful. This pause is like a gift.
And know your intention and set your
That's right.
intentions
That's right, isn't it?
and
See,
feel good
yeah.
about the intentions that you set.
Yes, it has to, everything that we do in transformation, it has to sit right, inside of us. There's some levels of us they may not feel right, but if it's just a small percentage, we can, of course, there's work to be done for us to get to the full comfort zone. We're going to be always exploring our new comfort zones, but in the meantime, um, be comfortable with this new possibilities, with this new affirmation that you've tweaked to make it right for you. Once you can feel comfortable with that, yeah, you're on your way.
You're on your way. Oh, that is wonderful. It really is. Um, and the affirmations.
Oh well, affirmations wise, there's so many things. So in terms of money, for example, I think if let's say I'm just using as an example of how we can tweak affirmations to, right? That's how what we've been doing to how we can tweak affirmations so that it sits better with us. So if let's say this whole tweaking of money is just not feeling right, then maybe just we can we can view money as a form of wealth, and we can think of wealth in a broader sense, like um, how are we wealthy now? Like we're wealthy in our health, we're rich in our health, we're rich in our the way in our relationships with so and so, so and so. I mean, there must be somebody in some aspect that we feel um, abundant about in a relationship, a wealth of connection, for example. Right?
Oh, that's great. One of my coaches actually, most coaches suggest writing a gratitude journal, but this coach was my money coach, and she always said, "I feel rich," rather than a gratitude journal. It was "and I feel rich" journal.
That's
So I feel
beautiful. That's
rich
great.
because I woke up to sunshine today.
Yes.
I feel rich because I got invited to a party today. I feel rich because I had a really good dinner today.
There you go. Isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that we're enriched. We feel enriched by dot dot dot, fill in the blanks.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, Huey, we're coming to the end of our time, but how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I thought because of the topics that we might be covering, and because of the kind of audience that might be listening into the podcast who are already awesome and might be wanting to know how to tap into more of the awesomeness inside. We as human beings, we go through sometimes we're not always up, and in order to get up from where you are, sometimes there are faster ways these days. So I just wanted to share one of my favorite ways.
Yeah.
It came for me one day. So I thought if I could offer this, people can just help themselves. So
nice. I love that. So how can they?
well, just go to. So what I did was I prepared an audio in 11 minutes. It's kind of like a guided meditation. It's just a guided narration from me as to how you can raise your vibrations step by step,
Oh,
by
wonderful.
step by step. And you're not even going to feel any of the steps. It's just going to be so natural. And so if anyone can just go to www.nourishyoursoulnow.com. You can see all the details.
Nourishyoursoulnow.com.
That's right, .com. That's
Oh,
right.
fantastic. Oh, and you can get Huey's free gift there, an 11-minute meditation or uplifting, because we all need our vibrations lifted. That's the higher the vibration in the world, the better the world can be, right?
Isn't that so? Yes. So that's
So
it. Nourishyoursoul.com. Sorry, it's nourishyoursoulnow.com.
Now.com.
Sorry, that's a now
Awesome.
there.
Awesome. Well, that is very generous of you. And if they wanted to get in touch with you and learn more about you, how would they do that?
You can find me at my website at www.shiftandshine.com.
Shift
Shift
and shine.
and shine. I'm sorry, it's shiftandshine.net. I'm sorry, I know it's a bit confusing. So for the freebie, I'd say just go to www.nourishyoursoulnow.com. And if you want to just hang out with me on my online home, my online home is on www.shiftandshine.net.
Wonderful. Shiftandshine.net. And is there anything else that you wanted to, any last word that you would like to share with people before we go?
I just want to let everyone know you're all beautiful already. We're already beautiful and complete. It's time to recognize that and to embrace that and enjoy yourself as the beauty that you are.
That is what awesomeness is all about. Recognize that beauty inside because we're all beautiful. Oh, Huey Lin, thank you so much for joining me today. And
thank you, Karen, for this wonderful time together. I just feel so blessed for the abundance of connection that we have.
Indeed,
and
indeed.
sharing of topics.
Our hearts are connected. And that's what namaste is it?
That's right.
So namaste.
Namaste.
Bye-bye for now. That was great. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Did you enjoy it? I mean,
absolutely. You are such a great host. I mean, you're very smooth and you listen. You listen and you come in at the right time to ask questions and you're engaged and you're not like just, I mean, I don't know about how other people do it, but I've heard like some other people saying, I've just heard the worst podcast ever. And then I say, what happened? So I said, was it the content? Was it what happened? Was it everything? But for you, no. I feel like you're very natural. You're so with the person, you're with me, and I really appreciate it. You're totally with me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad because I really enjoyed it. You do speak from the heart and it's wonderful. And we do need to lift that vibration more. So what a generous gift you're offering.
Um, it's just I'm just following my soul. I really am. It brings me joy to follow my soul.
And that is what it's all about. When you are enjoying and following your soul, your heart,
Okay.
how can it be wrong?
Yes. Yeah.